Welcome to our last session of Made at Home Fill the Freezer. I'm Katie Cullum with the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. I'm the Family Consumer Science Agent in White Plains, Arkansas. With me is Becca Stackhouse from the University of Georgia. She's the Family Consumer Science Agent in Post County, Georgia. Today we're going to talk about freezer to slow cooker. This is one of my favorite ways to freeze. So we're going to talk some basic slow cooking, food safety, and benefits. So, save time and money. I love that about freezer cooking. So, it's easy and quick to prep meals if you're going to put them in the freezer and then use them in the slow cooker. Because most of the time, I just dump the ingredients in a bag, put it in the freezer, thaw it out, dump it in the slow cooker, and let it cook while I'm at work. And it's also easy to take advantage of sales because that way you can pick up things on sale and maybe buy more than you planned on because you're getting a good deal on it. So you can fill up your slow cooker in the morning, turn it on, and you're done. You may just need to add a vegetable, fruit, dairy, and you're done. You've got a great My Plate meal. So some tips for success. You want to spray your slow cooker with cooking spray or use liners for easy cleanup. That's not a requirement, but I like to have easy cleanup too. And you want to cut your vegetables into pieces that are similar in size. You don't want lots of big pieces and lots of little pieces too, because they'll cook at different rates. You also will probably want to put your vegetables in the bottom of your slow cooker because they will cook better down there. Root vegetables like potatoes and carrots take longer to cook. Soft vegetables can be added in the last 30 minutes. You want to add dairy products in the last half hour of cooking to prevent curdling. And you want to cook and drain ground meats because that will help with the fat in your recipe, to reduce the fat some. And fish and shellfish should be added in the last 30 to 60 minutes of cooking also. So, we're going to do some true and false. True or false? It's okay to put frozen meat in my slow cooker. It eventually reaches a safe temperature. What do you think? False. You should never put frozen food in your slow cooker. You always want to thaw. So that's why when we talked about our meal plan a few weeks ago, I said I like to put a note so that I can take my frozen meal out of the freezer the night before and let it thaw. It's really important that you don't put frozen food in your slow cooker. Some of that food will still stay really cold and frozen, and some of it will get really hot, and so it will be in that danger zone too long. So you really need to make sure that you thaw your food before putting it in the slow cooker. So true or false, a slow cooker can only be used for soups and stews, right? Wrong. That's false. A slow cooker is very versatile. You can use it for soups and stews. It's great for that, but you can also use it, especially the smaller ones, for dips, desserts, side dishes, main dishes, breakfast. That would be great. So slow cookers can be very versatile. True or false? A slow cooker is actually very expensive to use because it takes so long to cook and uses a lot of energy. What do you think? False again. A slow cooker uses very low wattage, so therefore it's very economical to use. And it also keeps your house cool in the summer compared to using an oven or a cooking range. So that sounds pretty good, especially for this southern heat down here. True or false? In the slow cooker, the vegetables can get mushy and lose their flavor. That can be true. That's why you want to add soft vegetables that cook quickly, like corn, peas, zucchini, and mushrooms during the last 30 to 45 minutes of cooking, and that helps maintain good color and texture. True or false? Slow cookers should never be used for lower priced cuts of meat because they will become tough. False. Slow cookers are excellent for low-priced meats because the long cooking time makes lower-priced, tough cuts of meat tender and delicious. So you can save money by getting a lower-priced cut of meat, and it's still going to be really good. True or false? Slow cookers are a great time saver. After the meal, just leave the food in the slow cooker insert, set it in the fridge, and then you can just put it back in the slow cooker and reheat it, right? That sounds great, but it's false. While they can be a great time saver, leftover food should never be stored in the slow cooker. They should be transferred to shallow containers and then placed in the refrigerator to cool. You never want to leave foods in a turned off slow cooker for long periods, and you don't even want to use it to reheat foods. Instead, you want to reheat in a microwave, in the oven, or on the stove until that internal temperature gets up to 165 degrees. True or false? Foods like rice and pasta get all gummy and never cook all the way in the slow cooker. That can be true. Those ingredients tend to get gummy if they're overcooked. So if a recipe calls for cooked noodles or pasta, cook until slightly tender and then add to the slow cooker during the last hour. If you're adding raw rice, add an extra cup of liquid for each cup of uncooked rice. True or false? If you arrive home and find that the power has gone out during the day, you should throw out the food in your slow cooker, even if it looks cooked. Right? Yes, that is true. Unfortunately, if you are not home during the entire cooking process and the power goes out, then yes, throw the food out, even if it looks done. If you're home when the power goes off, you can finish cooking the ingredients immediately by some other means. If you have a gas stove, an outdoor grill, or something else. But I know that's really disappointing sometimes, but to keep it safe, it's really important to follow the food safety rules. True or false? A food thermometer should be used to check food temperatures. True. I've told you before how much I love my food thermometer, but this should be used to make sure that your foods are cooked to a safe internal temperature. So for poultry, this would be 165 degrees. For ground beef, it's 160. Beef steaks and roast should be at least 145, and pork should be 160. That way you know for sure that it's done. And last but not least, true or false? It's important to keep the lid on the slow cooker until at least the minimum cooking time suggested by your recipe. True. Avoid lifting the lid to check on it, see how it's doing, unless you're stirring or checking for doneness, because the temperature can drop 10 to 15 degrees and it can add 20 to 30 minutes to your cooking time. So if you have one of these with the clear lid, you can kind of check it out without lifting that lid. So don't lift the lid. Now you may notice that I have several slow cookers around because I really like slow cookers. Now you also may have one of the electric pressure cookers or multi-cookers, and if it has a slow cooker button, you can also use that to slow cook. But remember, you always need to thaw your food before you put it in the slow cooker or the multi-cooker. Now I'm going to turn it over to Becca to see what she's picking up from the freezer today.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Made at Home Freezer Edition. So we're going to talk a little bit about an easy lasagna. So you're going to need a little bit of ground beef or ground turkey. So I've made a ground turkey mixture and I went ahead and added my tomatoes in it. So what you're gonna do is you are going to go ahead and brown your meat in a skillet, and you're going to cook that towards 165 degrees internally. And then we're gonna add in our seasonings. So we've got parsley, oregano, Italian seasoning, and our tomatoes. So that's what we've got right here. and it's been frozen, and we've pulled it out of the freezer and let it sit the day before in a container in the fridge to be able to de-thaw and be ready for our crock pot lasagna today. So I'm gonna get our lasagna plugged in. Our crock pot is gonna be plugged in. I'm gonna let it cook on low for about that 6 hours so that it's ready. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna layer this in. So we forgot one thing. We need cottage cheese. So you need cottage cheese is another ingredient, but you're not gonna need that until the day that you're cooking it. So be sure that you don't have that. Then we need noodles. So I've got lasagna noodles, and these are actually made out of brown rice. So this is actually a gluten-free dish. And then you're gonna need your mozzarella. So what we're gonna do is we gotta break our lasagna a little bit so it fits, and we're just gonna start layering that lasagna into the crock pot. If you've listened to any of the previous episodes, we've talked a little bit about some different ways to get vegetables into your foods. And lasagna is definitely one of those meals that you can add in a little bit here and there of different vegetables such as onions, or you could add some broccoli. You can be creative and add a little bit in. So we're gonna add our cottage cheese in there. And then we're gonna add some of our cheese. So in talking about our My Plate portions as well, we're also talking about ways you're covering and what you're covering. So we've got our vegetables in here, we've got our meat in here, we've got our dairy in here, and we've got our grain. So we've covered 4 of those 5 different categories on My Plate. So remember that you can add the vegetable or the fruit in as your dessert. So think about it that way. Then we'll put our cottage cheese layer on. And our last top layer will be our cheese. We'll put our cover on and it'll cook. There we go. Who doesn't love a lasagna that'll be ready when you walk back through the door? So, thanks for joining this episode and have a fantastic day.